guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lana and today we discuss celebrities, news and drink a lot of coffee. The topic is my lawsuit, civil lawsuit against former New York Governor Eliot Spitzer, former Attorney General, self-proclaimed Sheriff of Wall Street, self-proclaimed business tycoon, and just an abuser, just a psychopath, just a rapist, just abuser again. You know, when I filed this lawsuit, I did not expect, honestly, anything. I just wanted to see how the legal system is corrupt. And it is very corrupt in New York. And even though he's not in the politics for a long time, from 2008, right? He says, well, I'm resigned, I'm no longer in the politics and so on. But he still has so many connections and people listen to his orders. And I'm just amazed how many people were involved in covering Spitzer's abuse and making me an extortionist, putting me in jail for the whole year, actually. How prosecutors allowed him to use forged evidence and how the prosecutors themselves redacted the forged evidence by Spitzer in my criminal case. And I didn't even know which court I'm going to. I didn't know the difference if it's civil court, Supreme Court, federal court. I just came into the court that I had dealt before previously, like picking up. And if I went to a different court by mistake, so my lawsuit would be maybe denied, maybe longer, maybe shorter. So there is a civil court right on the next side of the Supreme Court, and there is a federal court next to it. So I don't know why I appeared in Supreme Court, but was the place where I filed my lawsuit. Lawyer Joseph Murray from criminal case. Hi Joseph. Hi. Yeah, I know you. I know you. And I had suspected things a long time ago, but I still, maintain the innocence until proven guilty, like if we can say this way. Anyways, so my lawyer, former lawyer from criminal case, first stated that I don't have any grounds to sue Spitzer. When I showed him my complaint, he said that the court gonna deny it. The court is not going to even accept it. Well, I thought, how come court should not accept this complaint? This complaint was written by a set of lawyers that started to work on my case, but once I showed my complaint to Joe Murray, that firm resigned, and Joe also said, no, I don't see any grounds and blah blah blah. So I filed it on my own. A few weeks later, Joe Murray emailed me and said, well, don't you want me to be a lawyer? And I was already in Russia and I did not even know how the process goes, if I can appear virtually or I can appear I must appear at every court date and like physically, and I didn't have opportunity to come to every court's visit at that point. And I agreed to him. I agreed to accept him as a lawyer, but he said, and this was a paper filed case. It was not electronic. And he said, I did not see your complaint, but your complaint must say this, this, and that, and the rest should not be. I am going to enter the case. And I did not pay attention to this because I recently delivered my first child. I was very busy, I was stressed, I was having so many things going on. And I said, okay, Joe, do whatever you want, you're a lawyer, you know better, okay. But actually, the law they added to my lawsuit was gender-motivated violence. I'm going to remind you a lawsuit that Keisha brought, the singer Keisha brought against her former producer, and the court found that Keisha's allegations aren't legible because the abuse she suffered was not motivated by gender. How you like it? And I didn't know this until I read the laws, the other lawsuits, the other examples. And all right, so the case continued. Joe said, well, in the motion, he said, well, I need some more time to get to know the case. And of course, Spitzer's lawyer stated, well, how come he says this and that? He knows the case very well. Court should not let him consider any more time and blah, blah, blah. So all this time, Joe gaslighted me and he pretended he does not receive my emails and he did not respond to my questions, how the lawsuit is going, what is necessary from me to do for this lawsuit at this point, and he did not respond. And before a deadline, he actually said, well, Lana, you need to notarize this immediately. And what was it? I don't know. And he said, well, we are just adding this law, ground for your lawsuit, another one that he also told me so many different law, like the words I didn't know the meaning of, and I agreed. I said, okay, well, you do what you want to do. And he actually shrinked the complaint and I notarized it. But then in the papers, in the legal papers, these other grounds from my lawsuit, besides the abuse at Plaza Hotel, were marked as dismissed by the court. And I did not, it was not a motion to dismiss, it was not a motion, I voluntarily decided to shrink my complaint because I also was explained that a big complaint can take many years at court, and a small one, the smaller the complaint, it's gonna proceed faster. And my intention was not actually to get, a lot of money or to get another news coverage. Reveal the truth. Why I was abused, why I had to lose my child, why I had to be in jail for a year just because this sociopath wanted to clear his image because he has connections and power. Well, this was my point, to prove my truth. And I didn't care how many pages in the lawsuit is going to be. I didn't care how many grounds of the lawsuit are. What I care was only the truth. And what he did, all right, they shrink the complaint and they left only what is necessary for the newspapers. Okay, they left the old things that I accused him of, abuse at Plaza Hotel. They printed the articles and the lawsuit proceeded. In 2021 and 22, nothing was done. I think, what was done? Oh, Joe stated in 2022, Lana, we need to gather evidence. We need to get this, and that. And I said, well, Joe, for this lawsuit, for these grounds, I need to have physical injuries. But I left to Russia right away, and I cannot come back at this point because last year it was just the war started and I could not come, and then any necessary medical papers. And I got some medical papers, and he said, well, I'm not going to accept it. Then I also received Spitzer's results with STI, sexual transmitted infection, that he infected me with. And he said, well, I'm not going to present this to court. It was another big question for me. Okay, I thought, all right, well, I'm not good in law. I cannot do things on my own, and it's too complicated. And then I started to file different lawsuits in other small courts, in small claims court and civil court, not in the Supreme Court. So as my basis was not the money, because in civil court you can only get up to $50,000, right? And my basis was to just prove my truth. I filed a lawsuit. In my other video you can find out about him forging the checks, Spitzer forging the checks that the prosecutors took as evidence, and the money went not even to my account and to other third-party account, and I did not get the money, and so on. So many details of his mistake. I won a few lawsuits, but against Plaza Hotel and against other firms and other individuals, what they did, they gathered all my small claims lawsuits into one Supreme Court lawsuit, because they said that it arises from the same incident. But I thought, well, how the same incident? This incident Plaza Hotel was in 2016, and some of my lawsuits were about different dates. Okay, fine. They said it's going to be judicial. We're not going to spend too many judicial resources for your claims, and this is why we also want this claim to be only one claim and be decided in one court. And Joe did not answer me in regards to the evidence that I had. He never had time to meet up with me, and also there was a deadline in court to present evidence, and Joe did not even respond with a letter to court that, we did not meet, and not that we don't have the evidence. We have the evidence, but we did not submit because Joe didn't have time. At this point I said, all right, Joe, let me proceed on my own, and if there is something that I cannot do, well, you're gonna come back. He said, okay, you're going to come back. And at this point he recommended me to other lawyers, actually 3 other lawyers from his past that are interested to solve this case, because Spitzer's lawyers presented as well request for people that I spoke to about the lawsuit, the grounds of the lawsuit, and blah blah blah. So at this point, 6 months ago, Spitzer asked Joe to get me 3 other lawyers that I'm going to speak about my case. They did not take over the case. I just came to them to speak about the case. And in case of disposition, in case if the case continued, now it's dismissed. I would of course write them that, okay, I spoke to these people, they're going to depose them. If they depose, let's say, this up to respectful people in the community, they have law license and they practice law for 20 years, but once they're gonna be asked, why you did not take Svetlana's case? And they would answer, oh, we did not find enough grounds. And if there are so many people who, say that we did not find enough grounds, these lawyers didn't get back to me with any comment, okay, you're gonna take my case or you're not gonna take my case. I just wasted my time speaking to them. And these guys were from Joe's connections. So it was their strategy. A strategy was as well to collect as much evidence as I had against Spitzer, and I refused to present it. I refused to present the videos, the recorded phone calls and everything that I have so far, because they are going to seal it as other documents from my criminal case that are also sealed. So at that point, when they subpoenaed Joe Murray, who was already not a lawyer in my case, and he presented the documents in the first time, I did not see the documents. When I asked him to provide me my documents from my criminal case, he did not provide me any. He provided me just a few documents, and in this lawsuit, he all of a sudden provided so many. The subpoena to Murray also said, we are requesting you to provide all communications with me, all whatever he has, and then I realized what was their goal, and I agreed. All right, I said, Joe, I'm not against you to submit everything that you have. Your conversations, your whatever you have about me, you can submit to the lawsuit. And all of a sudden, Spitzer said, oh, whatever Joe submitted is fine. We don't need anything else that we requested in our subpoena. Yeah. So I think Joe actually recorded me and he maintains all of these things, but he does not want to provide it because the Spitzer's lawyers were looking for information from my lawyer, and I even agreed, and I even let him provide this information, but all of a sudden they decided, no, we don't need this. And in my first court appearance, when I first saw Judge Getz, that Supreme Court judge, I had a problem with my knee. I could not walk properly. I had a problem. I think I was on my period, and yes, I was on my period, and my stomach hurt a lot, and I actually came. And the judge said, well, when you speak to the judge, you must stand up. And I explained why I cannot stand up. First of all, because of my knee, and second, because of my menstrual cramps. He then said, okay, you can sit. But he wanted us to decide the dates for discovery, for disposition, you're gonna have this date, and discovery, and blah, blah, blah. And there was also a reporter from New York Post that did not appear in the room. He was outside of the room waiting. And to me, it was, a little bit, not comfortable when the journalist, when the photographer spoke to the judge, like it's not the first time they connect to each other. So I asked the judge if I can discuss the dates later on because I am sick. And the judge denied my request. He said, I don't know what kind of a judge can decide a domestic violence complaint and speak to me like, okay, I'm sitting next to you and I'm complaining that I cannot actually stand. I cannot, my leg is hurting, my stomach is hurting, and you letting me go through this, because why? I should stay in the court for another hour and a half to decide the dates and then come back. This is just awful. He is an evil judge, but no, he's not that evil. He is actually corrupt. And a week prior to that, I requested an online appearance, and the court denied my online appearance, stating that, and Spitzer's lawyer also requested an exam by a doctor who would prove my injuries, by a gynecologist. And I asked what kind of, it was, a sarcasm that I went through when I spoke to the court. I said, well, if that doctor can, come here and provide information that a woman who lost a child due to the abuse, lost the fetus due to the physical abuse, if the doctor can prove that right now, 6 years, 7 years after the abuse, the only thing that gynecologist can provide is if the woman is a virgin or if a woman is pregnant. I want to put this doctor on the stand and say this in court and then present this information to his medical board. And I'm sure they would find a doctor who would say these things, but silly me, I said that in advance. I needed to play until the end and then say, well, are you qualified to find out if things that I accused Spitzer 7 years ago happened, and you qualified to... They wanted me to go through the circus of hell. Then they wanted me to notify them of the people, all of the people I spoke to about the abuse, their addresses and their names. They wanted me to provide them all of the addresses I have ever lived, and Russia as well. They wanted me to well, their discovery was not related to the case. And I explained that to the court, but because the court is corrupt, they don't listen to me. They wanted to gather all of this massive evidence and to play it against these people. Let's say if I spoke to my friend who is an immigrant and who is going through immigration process, that I spoke to her about it, what could happen. They could, deny her citizenship, they could place her in removal proceedings, they could, as they did to me, they could do so many things against her. If somebody says anything against Spitzer, they could do so many things against these people. That's first. Second, I don't understand why they needed my addresses everywhere where I lived so far, and how come my address in Russia can relate to things that I'm accused in Spitzer of in 2016 at Plaza Hotel. Okay, they consolidated the cases. So now all of the small cases became a part of this big one case. And I requested to file my motions, to file my oppositions, order to show cause with a fee waiver. And I requested a fee waiver. But so many fee waivers got lost. In a few court appearances, I asked the judge, okay, judge, so what we can do? I'm requesting a fee waiver. I'm eligible for a fee waiver. Some of my fee waivers already were approved by other courts from the lawsuits that are part of this big one. Can't you approve my fee waiver? He said, okay, well, you just upload it and blah, blah, blah. I said, I cannot upload it. Long story short, he said he doesn't know if at this point he can give me a fee waiver. If 2 years from the lawsuit already passed, and he doesn't know. So the judge doesn't know if he can grant me a fee waiver. And the fee waiver, he said he granted, and it was used for some motions. And in about mid-April, I had very, very bad pain with my knee, and I was scheduled for a surgery. But again, at this time, a motion to dismiss was scheduled. And I notified the court, okay, I'm going to have a surgery. I cannot appear at the motion. Please reschedule. The court did not reschedule the appearance for a motion to dismiss, okay? For Spitzer's motion to dismiss. And I didn't log in for a long time to the NICEF system, to the court system. And I logged in May. And I see that the case was dismissed. So the judge ordered that the plaintiff's motion to dismiss is granted. Ordered that the complaint is dismissed. Ordered that plaintiff's motion to depose plaintiff is granted to be withdrawn, and blah, 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 So I never filed the motion to dismiss, first of all. I'm the plaintiff. Plaintiff cannot file a motion to dismiss, but the judge signs that plaintiff's motion to dismiss is granted. This order was online for 1 month, and court is so corrupt that not even judge looks at it. Not even the person who helps the judge looks at it. Not even Spitzer's set of lawyers is reading the order, rereading the order, and they could say, well, there is a mistake, change it. Not even the person who uploaded it to the NICEF system, because when it was signed by the judge, it was uploaded by somebody who works in the NICEF system. So they would find out that plaintiff cannot file a motion to dismiss the case. This does not exist. So many people saw this order, they did not care. And this is how the lawsuits are decided in Supreme Court. This is how you expect to have justice in the US. You will not have justice in the US. Everything is corrupt. If you have connections, like Eliot Spitzer, nobody will even look at these orders. Nobody will even do anything to find out the truth, to find out the justice, to solve anything towards the justice. They would act as corruptly as they can, as they dismissed my lawsuit on the basis that I did not even file. So, you know, this is over, and to say I'm shocked, a bit, yes, a bit, I'm shocked. But at the same time, what do you expect? You expect that the court is going to be fair? No, Supreme Court is not going to be fair. All right, this is it, guys. I hope you had enough patience to listen to my half-an-hour podcast, but this is important because this is how the lawsuits are decided in New York. If one party is powerful, rich, well-known, and people will obey him in legal system,